In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to build your first AI employee in Slack. I'm going to show you guys how you can connect this AI employee into Clio so that it can take actions for you, like creating a contact and creating new matters for you. I'll also show you how you can have it pull data from Clio and help you visualize that data using charts and graphs. And then I'll also show you how you can connect it to the internet so that it can search for relevant information from Court Listener and pull case law or news or anything that's relevant that you need it to do. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Masai and I work directly with small to mid-sized law firms to build AI solutions just like the one you're going to see in this video. So now I just want to go over some of the main capabilities that we have with this AI employee that we've built out in Slack. And so the three main ones I'm going to cover are the ability for it to take actions in Clio, one. The second of those that I'm going to cover, its ability to read data that's in Clio and help you visualize that data with different charts and diagrams and those sort of things. And the last one is the ability to search the internet, right? And where you can specify, take a look at Court Listener to pull up this recent docket and all that sort of stuff. So first one here is we have just the ability to actually create content for us in Clio. So here I'm telling it to create a new matter in Clio where Thor is having some problems with Loki, and this is a Thor family problems matter here. So if I come back over to Clio, I can actually open up the matter and I can see that this matter has been created with all of Thor's problems. And if I wanted to create a new matter, let's just say this, legal OS, create a new matter for Thor Thunder with description test matter for Thor. And then here it would start working. It's going to ask for my approval on a couple of the steps, and then it'll go ahead and create that matter for me. So here we have this, it's confirmation step where it asks me to confirm this action that it's going to take. I'll go ahead and confirm it. Once that confirmation occurs, then it'll go ahead and use Clio's API to create that matter for me. And then here, I can always click to the actual matter, open it up, and go directly to it, and see that here we have this new test matter for Thor that's been created, right? And so we can do this with matters, with contacts, activities, anything that's in the API. You can just talk to your Slack agent and have it do that for you in Clio, right? Same when you talk to a paralegal or a legal assistant. Then the next thing we have is this ability to visualize data here. So here, if I wanted to, say for example, I wanted to see financial data, or I wanted to see the types of matters that we have, and I wanted to see it in some sort of visual graphic here, I can just tell it to give me a line chart of the activities log for the past 30 days, and it can go ahead and create that visual graphic for me, right? So this will probably be extremely useful if you have financial data, but that's another tool that we have here, is that ability to actually visualize the data in Clio. So not only can it read the data in Clio, but it can also visualize that and give you these graphics to help you be able to see your data a little bit more clearly. And then the last thing we have here is this ability to search the internet as well, right? So that's always going to be important. You may want to specify your sources. If you want to use Court Listener or Lawfare, or you want it to default to certain sources, you may want to specify those. You could also, down the line, you could use your Westlaw API or your co-counsel API if you want to connect in there. But here we just have this ability for it to search for recent information and give us back a summary of that recent information. So here, I'm just telling it to search the internet, find the most recent information about the Trump case on Court Listener, goes off the Court Listener, gives us back a little bit of a summary of that case here. Really quick, if you are the owner of a small to mid-sized law firm and you are trying to get ahead of the curve with some of these more powerful AI solutions, there is a link you can click on in the description to see how I can help you out with that. Now let's get right into the build. In order for us to really understand what these systems are doing, it's important for us to understand how they work first and foremost. So I have a couple of diagrams that I want to show you guys really quickly, just so that we understand how AI systems work at a high level, and then we can understand how you can build your own systems in the environments that you already work in Slack or in Teams, how you can build AI systems there. So what we have to understand is AI systems are basically, we have somewhere to take in inputs, we have a little bit of processing that happens, we have the AI model that thinks and produces output for us, then that output gets structured and processed a little bit, and then that output is displayed somewhere, right? And so that's basically the process, right? Input comes in, that can be you prompting an AI, that can be an automation that's taking information from somewhere else. But let's just say, for the sake of this example, let's just talk about you prompting AI, right? So you can have an input layer here. This is where you would go into the chat and you'd say, hey, go and create a matter in Clio for me, right? That input layer can be Claude Cowork, but it can also just be Slack or Teams or somewhere that you and your team are a lot more familiar working in, rather than having to learn a new platform. So we have the first step, the input layer. Then what has to happen is your your prompt has to get processed a little bit so that it can be ready to go into the AI model. Then we have the AI model here in the middle step that actually takes whatever you asked it to do, thinks about it, and then figures out how to execute. And then it produces outputs. And whatever output we get from the AI has to get handled and cleaned a little bit before it's then displayed back to the user. And so what we've done here in this demo with the Slack agent that we have here that's able to do stuff in Clio, that's able to create these different visuals for us, that's able to do things in our email, is we've just changed the input and the output layer. So we've just changed the input and the user interface. Obviously, you could go into Claude Cowork and you could do some of this stuff. You could go into Claude Cowork and you could type a chat, and you could then Claude would take care of processing and having the AI model produce an output and structuring the data and then returning it back to you in Claude Cowork. But if you are already used to working in Slack or Teams, it's going to be a lot easier for you to just continue working in Slack and Teams. And the same way that you would tag somebody that's a member of your team already, you can just tag an AI model and have it do work for you within Slack or within Teams. And so what we've done here is we've just replaced this input layer. Instead of going to Claude Cowork, you just go to Slack or you just go to Teams. And then the output, again, instead of getting the output in Claude Cowork, you just go to Slack and you just go to Teams. Also, if you guys are doing things that are a little bit more complicated, or you want to be able to control more of what the system does and how it works, and you want to stop it from failing and all these sorts of things, when you make your own systems, when you build your own systems, like I'm going to show you how to do in a second, you get the control over the processing, you get more control over the model, and you get control over how the model's outputs are processed as well. So all these intermediate steps that you can't control if you use Claude Cowork, you will be able to have control over that. And then you get to decide where the inputs go in, right? If you're going to email a bot, or if you're going to Slack it, or use Teams, or however you want to do it. And you also get to decide where and how these inputs come out as well. And here's sort of another diagram. This is a little bit more in-depth diagram, but it's the same sort of idea here. We have input, we have a processing layer, we have an LLM, we have the output getting structured and parsed, and then we have the final step where it's actually displayed. So now I'm going to walk you through how to actually build and set up this legal operating system in Slack. It's a little bit of an intensive setup. So there's two things you're going to have access to. In the description of this video, you'll get access to this setup guide that you can follow through step by step in order to set everything up. And then I'm also going to do it in the video as well. So you can always follow along with just the video if you want to follow along with the video. And you can also follow along with this setup guide if you want to follow along with the setup guide. So first thing you're going to need, obviously, is an account on GitHub. So that's github.com. You will also get access to this repository. So the link to this repository is going to be here in the description as well. Once you get the link to the repository, what you're going to see is this page here. You want to scroll down until you find the setup.md document, and then you want to open that up. And once that's open, that's going to guide you through the entire setup process. And the first thing that we're going to do is we want to copy this code from GitHub onto our computer. So we have this repository here on GitHub. What we're going to do is click this code button right here in the top right, then click this copy to clipboard button to get the link that we're going to need for copying this repository. Then we will create a folder on our desktop. So I'm going to call this folder we'll call this Slack Legal System. Once we have this folder, you can right click on this folder. If you're on Mac, on Windows, it should be the same thing. You'll create a new terminal at the folder, and then what you'll do is just git clone and then paste in this URL, and that will get all the code into that folder. Now, you may not have git installed, so when you run git clone, you may get a command telling you to install X command line tools, and you want to just go ahead and do that install because you're going to need those tools on your laptop in order to be able to copy the code over. Alternatively, if you don't want to use git clone, you can always come to this code button, click on the code button, click download zip, and then you can just download the zip file and have that in a folder on your computer as well. So we just run git clone, and we have our Slack legal operating system cloned or copied onto our local computer. Obviously, you can use the git clone command that we just did to copy that onto our computer. Other thing that you can do is you can come to the repository, you can click on this code button, you can download the zip, and then you can unzip the file and you can have it there as well to get it on your computer. But once you have this here,
what we want to do is you want to right click on the Slack Legal OS folder, and then you want to open a terminal at the folder. It's going to be pretty similar on Windows. It's going to be a right click and then something like run terminal or something like that. Once you have that here, we're going to go pnpm install. That's going to install all the dependencies and packages, everything that we need pre-installed to get this to work. That's going to take care of that installation for us. Now, I've already run this, but when you run pnpm install, you see a bunch of things download, and then that'll make sure all the dependencies are set up in this project. Then the next thing that we'll want to do is you want to copy the .env example file. So we have this .env.example file, and it just gives us all the values that we'll need later on in order to actually get this to work for us. Now, you don't have to be intimidated by this because I'm going to walk you through every single line of this at some point in this video to show you exactly what needs to go in each spot. But the .env.example file, and we're going to connect this file, and we're going to make another file called env.local. And that's going to allow us to actually put real values in there. This is a template file. The other local file that we create will be the actual file with real values in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here into this terminal. We're going to go cp, which is copy, and then we're going to go .env.example, and then we're going to go .env.local. Hit enter, and once we've done that, then I can come back in here and I can see we have that .env.local is set up here, which is just going to be a copy of .env.example, but we'll use it later on to actually put values in. Now, the next thing that we'll need to set up is you'll need a Vercel account. Vercel is a cloud hosting platform. So Vercel allows you to take whatever you build on your computer and host it in the cloud somewhere. So that way you can use it across multiple teams. You can, multiple people can log into Slack and use your agent or your system or whatever you end up building. So what we're going to do now is set up a Vercel account. You'll just go to vercel.com. You'll set up an account. You can start on the hobby plan. That's perfectly fine. But that's what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and set up this Vercel account. Then once we have the Vercel account set up, you want to install the Vercel command line interface. That's going to allow you to connect to Vercel, to manipulate Vercel from your computer. And in order to do that, you'll just go brew install Vercel CLI. And probably we won't do it here. We'll create a new terminal, new window, and we'll type in brew install Vercel CLI. Leave a comment below this video if you have any issues with this and you need help, and I'll try to get to all those. And also, if you get something saying that you need to install brew before you run this, then go ahead and just install brew and then you can run this. So we'll go brew install Vercel CLI. That will give us the command line interface that allows us to connect to Vercel and manipulate Vercel from our local computer. Then once we have that set up, we can then do things like Vercel login, which will open up this page and allow us to connect to our Vercel account. We can go ahead and allow that. We're back here. We have that Vercel login set up, and then we can also do Vercel link. It's going to link the folder that we've created here on our computer to Vercel and create an actual project in Vercel. So it's going to create one of these projects for us here in Vercel, meaning that our code and everything that we're building on our computer is going to end up actually live on a server on Vercel. So I'll go ahead and say not one of these projects because we want a new project, link to existing project, no, name, YouTube, Slack, OS, demo. Which directory is the code located? The dot and the / is going to be fine here. Local settings detected. So customized settings, we can go ahead and put no for this. You want to change additional project settings, you can go ahead and put in for this or no. Detected repository connected to this project, we can go ahead and put yes for this. And then once that's all done, I should be able to come back here and see that this project has been created. So we have this new deployment for our code that's now on our computer is now connected to some sort of cloud system here. So we now have this project set up in Vercel. Next thing that we're going to set up is the database here, which is going to be really simple. It'll take us like 45 seconds. So go ahead and click this, open this up. So we have the storage button here on the left-hand side. We'll go ahead and click storage. We'll go ahead and click create database, and we're going to click neon here. Go ahead and click continue. Configuration's fine. If you want to change the region, you can. But maybe if you're watching this from Europe or Canada or Australia, you may want to change the region here. But For the most part, we can leave the region as is. Go ahead and continue, and we can go ahead and create. And there we go. Our Neon database is ready to use. So again, not really something to be intimidated about. It took us, 30 or 40 seconds to get this database set up for our project. And then we can pretty much move forward from here. We're going to go ahead and connect this to the project that we just created. So whatever the name of your project is, you want to make sure it's in there. And you want to select all these environments, all three of these. And then we can go ahead and connect these. Okay, perfect. And then as we're going through this, we're going to be setting up a couple of different services, and we just want to be piecemeal taking the different variables and values that we create on these services and putting them into our .env.local file. So here, I'm going to show the secret. I'm going to go ahead and delete this after this video. So by the time this video is live, it should be deleted. But we'll show the secret. I'll copy the database URL, and then I'll put it in here. Let's see. I'll put it in here in database URL. So at the very top, database URL, we'll go ahead and paste our value. Make sure we're saving as we go. So if you're on Mac, it's going to be Command S. If you're on Windows, it should be Control S. And then database URL _ unpooled. Same thing here. We want to go ahead and just copy that entire thing. Come back over and then paste that into .env.local. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our authentication setup. So we're going to go ahead and use a platform called Clerk for that. And authentication just means obviously having users, right? So you can log into the app, and not everyone can log into your app and that kind of stuff, right? You can log in with using your Gmail and all that kind of stuff. What we're going to do for authentication, we're just going to go to clerk.com, and you want to set up an account here on Clerk. Again, you can stay on the free plan. We'll just go to the dashboard, and then we will go ahead and go to our main page here, this application page, which should just be dashboard.clerk.com/apps. So application page is here, and then we want to just click create application here. Then from here, I'll call this, give it a name, right? YouTube Slack demo, and then select the type of authentication you want to have. So usually I just do email and Gmail. If you wanted to include LinkedIn or Coinbase wallet or whatever else you want to include, you can include that too. But usually I just do continue with Google and also email as well. Then from here, we're going to go ahead and create the application. And what we want to do from here is we want to go ahead and go to the configure section. We want to come down to API keys, and then this value here. So .env.local. In this section, this is the stuff that we want to copy. So we want to copy this to our keyboard, the public clerk publishable key and the clerk secret key. Then we want to come back over to our .env.local file. And then we want to come into this next public clerk publishable key and the clerk secret key. I want to paste both of those. And again, we want to make sure that we're saving as we go. But we have both of those values for our authentication setup. That's our entire authentication setup for our app. Again, it took probably 3 or 4 minutes to get that set up as well. So it's pretty quick, pretty simple and straightforward to do. Okay, so that's our authentication setup. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to generate a random encryption key. So that's just a key that we're going to be using to do some encryption for us. What we'll do here is in .env.local, I have the command for you to run to generate that encryption key. So right here where it says generate with, you want to just copy everything to the right of that. So open SSL, RAND, all that stuff. And then you can just open up a new terminal, paste that command, and they will give you a random string of numbers and letters. You want to copy that string, and you can paste it in here. You could just bang on your keyboard and get random numbers and letters if you want to do that, until you have the right amount of numbers. I wouldn't suggest that. Just run this command and get that alphanumeric string from the command. But you could do that also. So that's the encryption key there. Next thing we're doing is we're going back to Vercel. We're going to open up our project. We want to choose AI Gateway here. So go ahead and click on AI Gateway. Go ahead and click on API keys. Actually, before we do API keys, you want to add some credit here, right? So you probably click on credit and then add $20 or $50 or some amount of credit here so that you have credits to be able to communicate with AI through Vercel, right? Then once we have those credits set up, we're going to go ahead and come into API keys on the left-hand side. click create API key, and we're going to call this YouTube test key. Then once we have that, we're going to copy this. Again, we're going back to the .env.local, and then we have AI gateway Vercel is down here a little bit closer to the bottom, and we're just going to paste that key into the AI gateway API key. That's our AI connection taken care of. Then we want to be able to include search as well in our agent, right? So what we're going to do here is you're going to want to have a Perplexity account. We'll go ahead and go to perplexity.ai. You'll click on your name over here in the bottom left. You'll go to settings. You'll go to API platform. And then from here, you will get API keys here on the left-hand side. And then I'll call this YouTube Slack demo key. And we'll go ahead and create this key. Copy that key. And then go ahead and paste it here in the Perplexity API key. So now we have Perplexity API key set up. The next thing that we're going to do is actually get the Slack app set up. Now, the next thing that we need to do is get this Slack app set up. So here we have this site here, https://api.slack.com/apps. Obviously, you'll need a Slack account, and then you'll go into this platform, you'll log into Slack, and then you can come to this app section. You're going to go ahead and create a new app here in the top right, and you're going to click from a manifest. Then you'll select the workspace that you want to install it into. You'll go next, and then you want to choose JSON here, right? Now, what I've done for you guys is I've given you the full JSON for the Slack app that you're going to need. Everything that you need for the actual app for Slack is already inside this manifest. So once you have cloned this Slack Legal OS or downloaded it as a zip file and you have it on your computer, all you have to do is open this up, open up the Slack manifest.json file, and you're probably going to need some sort of a code editor to open it up, VS Code, or you could even open up in your notes or something. So once you open this up, here's what's really important. This URL section, there's a couple URLs in here that we have to change out. So this URL, and this URL we have to change with our actual URL for our current project. So I'll show you how to find that. That is going to be on Vercel. So we go to Vercel. We go to our current project. We come to domains here on the left-hand side. And this is the domain here, right? So if we just go to edit and we select it and copy it and save it, make sure we don't lose it, then we can come back into this JSON and we can replace the URL with our actual URL. So everything after the second slash, after HTTPS, go ahead and just replace. And then same thing here, we can just replace that. Now we have our actual URL in here. We're gonna go ahead and save that. And then once we have this, we can copy the entire thing, come over to Slack, into the manifest, paste everything in here. I'm gonna change the name here to YouTube Legal OS. And you can obviously change the name to whatever you want to change it to. I'll change the display name as well. There we go. And then we'll go next. We'll go ahead and create this app. And then there we go. Our app is now created. Now from here, you want to go ahead and click install app on this left-hand side. And then you want to install to the workspace. Go ahead and click allow here to give it permission. And then now the app has been installed. Now immediately what you want to do is you want to copy this user OAuth token. So go ahead and copy that. We'll come into the .env.local and we'll paste this in the Slack section. So in the Slack bot token section, we'll go ahead and paste this here. And then the next thing that we want to do is we want to grab the signing secret. So if we come back to basic information, we're going to have this signing secret on the app credentials page. We'll go ahead and show this, copy it, and then we'll go ahead and paste that into the signing secret as well. Now here, the Slack app token you won't really need if you are maybe a little bit more technical and you want to use an app token instead of a bot token. You can do that if you want to, and that's what this section is for. But you guys probably won't need an app token. We'll just use a bot token. Now the last credential we need to set up is an app in Clio. So we can actually have that Clio connection as well. You're going to go to developers.clio.com. You're going to need obviously a Clio account. If you have a different case management system, it's going to be the same process, but you would just have to get your client ID and client secret from those case management systems. So in my case, you'll have to reach out to them. Practice Panther, you'll have to reach out to them. Most case management systems, you'll have to reach out to them. If you have Clio, you're in luck because you can just go to developers.clio.com and you can create a new app by clicking the new app button. Now I'm going to call this YouTube Slack OS demo. Description, we can leave blank. All these icons, we can leave blank. The website URL is going to be this domain here. So probably HTTPS // and then paste that. Then the redirect URI, you'll be able to figure out the formatting from that because it is in the setup guide. So here, this redirect URI, you'll just copy the template here, paste it, and then you want to just switch out your app URL, obviously for the actual URL that we have here. So go ahead and paste that URL in here, get rid of the L, and then this is our redirect URI. We'll go ahead and accept here, and then I'm going to go ahead and check all these permissions, and I'll be back once I've done that. All right, so once you've selected all the permissions, you'll click the save button in the bottom left, and then you'll get these app credentials, right? So you get the client ID here, client secret. Obviously, when you actually do it yourself, you don't want to share these with anybody, but I'll be deleting these shortly. You'll grab the client ID. You'll go over to the Clio section here of the .env.local. You'll paste the client ID. You want to make sure we get rid of any leading spaces. Do the same thing with the secret, copy it, and then paste that here. There we go. And then obviously if you are in Australia or in the EU, there's going to be a different base URL here, right? So if you're in the US, it's just app.clio.com. If you're in the EU, it's probably going to be eu.app.clio.com. Canada's probably CA, and then Australia is going to be AU for that. Now, the redirect URI, you want to actually grab that from here and replace it in the Clio redirect URI section. And so that basically completes all the values that we're going to need for our app. What we're going to do now is just send these values to Vercel. So we'll come to the Slack Legal OS. We'll again have another terminal at this folder, and we'll just paste this command here. So it's going to be pnpm env push, and we actually have it here. It's in the setup instructions as well, right? So you just copy this and you run this command in your terminal and go ahead and run this. Cool. And then once this finishes running, this will have added all of our values into Vercel. Come to Vercel now, and I come into environment variables. I can see all of our environment variables have been added here, all the things that we need to actually have our platform run. Once we have everything already set up in Vercel, then we can just type in our terminal. We're going to type in the command Vercel --prod because we want to push an actual production deployment here. This is just going to take us to actually being live. Then with this command, we will be live in Vercel. So again, I can go back to Vercel and check on this, and I can see that now if I go to deployments in Vercel, we have an actual deployment that has been set up. We have an actual sort of domain that we can go to and use our app there. And then we will have one more thing that we need to complete in the Slack application. So because our app was not fully deployed yet, we weren't able to set up automatic triggers to our Slack app. So there's one more step for us to set up in our Slack app. So we'll go back to Slack. We'll go to manage our apps. And again, you can just go api.slack.com/apps. I'll find the YouTube Legal OS, and I'll just come down to event subscriptions. And then I'll go ahead and retry this here. And because we're live, this now verifies, and we can save these changes. And we are set up in Slack as well. And the last couple of things we have to do here are running a database migration and then also getting Clio connected into our app. So we'll go and grab this command here, pnpm db migrate. We'll come back to the terminal that's at our application, and we'll go ahead and run this. And this will run the migration. And then once that's done, the last thing we have to do is get Clio connected in here. In order to do that, we have to add one more thing in here. So we have to go back to our .env.local file, and then for admin allowed emails, we have to just add our email to this list here. Okay, so we'll add our email here. We'll make sure we have saved it. We'll come to our terminal and we'll push the variables again to production. And we'll just add the force flag here so that we make sure that our email is actually being stored as an allowed email. Cool, and we can see now that admin allowed emails has been added to production. And now I can come into my Slack app on Vercel. Then what I will probably need to do before I actually can log in is I will have to go ahead and redeploy this. So I'll just come into deployments. I'll go ahead and redeploy this. And then once this redeploys, I'll go in, log in, and I should be able to log in with my email. After redeploying and adding the email to the allow list, I can open up my app, open the admin console, log in with my email, and then I can go to integrations, and then I can click connect video. And from here, this will take me to a pop-up. I will allow access here. And now we have Clio connection set up here. So one-click connection to get Clio actually connected into your application. And from here, I can just go into Slack. I should be able to add YouTube Legal OS and then invite it to the channel. And then YouTube Legal OS, tell me about my active matters in Clio. And here we go. We already have the connection set up. It's answering questions about Clio, the Clio connection set up. I can have it do work in Clio, generate those images for us, graphs, do research, all that kind of stuff. That's how you get the full connection set up end to end. Takes a little bit to do in the beginning, but this is how you get one of these AI employees or AI agents set up inside of Slack. And to me, it's a no-brainer to do it this way because you have a lot more control over what you allow it to do, what you don't allow it to do. You can make it a lot more powerful than you would make it with something like Claude Cowork. And you can spin up as many of these as you want. It's sort of it really is a no-brainer because you could have 10, 15, 20 of these AI employees that you're building and managing that are doing a lot of your work for you. So, and now I just have a couple of visuals for you guys because I want you guys to start thinking about what does this now mean for your law firm when you know that you can create as many of these agents as you want and they can all do specific things and you can give them extra capabilities and they can do a lot of different things really well, right? So you can have different agents for case updates, for litigation strategy. You can have a billing team. You can have all these different teams that you would have in a law firm, and you can have agents do a lot of the operations in there, right? So you sort of have one person or every single individual gets their capabilities augmented by these teams of agents. You have one person that's managing 3 or 4 or 5 agents. These agents have access to all the key systems and they know processes, and you guys can manage them all at once. You could also even have them communicate with each other as well. So just sort of start to think about what does this mean moving forward for how you think about building systems in your law firm and what sort of agents you want to build and create for your law firm. So that's how you can start building your AI agent army to help your law firm be 10x, 20x, 100x more productive. Thank you guys a ton for watching the video. Leave a like if you liked it. Comment down below if you get stuck on anything, if you need help at all. And comment what other types of content you would like to see as well. Hit the subscribe button and also turn on post notifications so you don't miss any more banger videos like these. Again, thank you guys a ton for watching and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.